It's our Wow Wednesday special. Welcome back to Cooking with Kayla D. I'm Kayla, and that's my husband Randy. My disclaimer: if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel. Remember to hit that notification bell so you get all your up-to-date episodes. Also, please like, comment, and share. Today we're going to be making some restaurant quality easy fried rice. For your ingredients, you're going to need 1/2 of a small frozen bag of peas and carrots, or 1/2 cup of chopped fresh carrots and fresh green beans the size of peas. 3 green onions chopped, and you want the tops separated from the bottom. 1/2 of a white onion chopped. 3 eggs, some cooking oil, just a couple tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of garlic chopped. 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1/2 teaspoon of sesame seed oil, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. The oyster sauce is optional but highly recommended. 1 tablespoon of chicken bouillon. It must be dry bouillon. It cannot be wet. 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper. You can substitute with black pepper. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 4 to 6 cups of cooked rice cold. You'll want to have that refrigerated overnight, so steam your rice ahead of time. There are links for all the special ingredients in the description area. First off, we're going to start prepping our ingredients because we need to have everything prepped and ready to go before we start cooking. You want to be able to grab everything and just dump it in, and then boom, your rice is done. So first I want to get my eggs cracked. I want to make sure there's no shells in them because sometimes I have a tendency of dropping shells. So I crack them in a separate bowl and then dump them over, and then I will scramble those up and set those aside until they're ready to be cooked. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start working on my fresh vegetables. We're using fresh vegetables instead of the frozen peas and carrots because that's what we had on hand, and my husband's not very fond of peas. So I like to use the fresh green beans, and I cut them to about the size of peas, and it works out just fine. But when I do that, I always make sure to use fresh carrots, and I chop them about the same way. You'll want to make sure to have at least 1/2 cup total between the two, so about 1/4 cup of each, and get those cut up and then set into a bowl. You can put them in the same bowl, just don't mix them with anything else. You want to keep them separated for easy cooking. I got tired of using the knife, so I just grabbed my scissors and went to town, and let me tell you, it was so much easier. You just snap one end off and boom. Now if you're using your frozen vegetables, all you have to do is right before you start your cooking is just take your frozen vegetables out and just pull out about 1/2 cup of your peas and carrots, or 1/2 of a small bag, and you'll be ready to go, which is about 4 ounces, I believe. It takes away a lot of prep time if you're using the frozen vegetables. For my carrots, I had baby carrots on hand, so I just sliced them in half and then chopped them into little half moons, and it ended up being close to the size of what the green beans are, and I just tossed them right in with the green beans. That way when I go to cooking, it is just easy, rapid cooking. I can just toss it in real quick because you're only going to have about 30 seconds in between each time you put something in and stir, where you have to dump something else inside of your pan. If you do not have a wok, don't worry about it. We still haven't found a wok that I personally like, so we just use one of our extra large nonstick skillets to cook our fried rice in, and ours is about 12 inches. So when you're doing about 4 to 6 cups of rice, about a 12-inch deep skillet will be just fine. Once you have your green onions out, make sure to rinse them very well. I like to cut the tips of the white and the green off, and then once I have that all done and I peel it, that little outside piece off as well around the white side. Once I have those all done and stacked up, then I will go ahead and start chopping mine. I just find it's easier just to do that all at once. And then of course I learned the hard way again to just use my scissors. It just seems to be so easy. Another thing is, as I in this video, I was chopping a little bit more because I was actually making a whole entire dinner. So if you come back on Friday, I'll have a crab rangoon recipe, and on Monday we'll have a sweet and sour pork recipe. So that way you will have a complete Chinese meal for a delicious dinner. I did it all at once, and by prepping everything at one time and having everything set aside, the cooking time I think was like 15 minutes total for everything. It was just like boom, 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 boom. I think the prepping took the longest, and it took about 30 minutes, so that's not long. So you can make delicious restaurant-style Chinese food at home. So make sure to come back on Friday for the crab rangoon recipe, and then again this coming Monday for the sweet and sour pork. That way you have your entire dish ready to go. Like I said, I just use the scissors and I cut the green tops off of my onion and I set that aside, and then I went ahead and chopped up the white part of the onion and set that into a separate bowl. And the reason we're doing this is because the green part of the onion, when you're doing Chinese cooking, you're using that more toward the very end of the recipe for garnish, to add on top of your rice or your sweet and sour pork, and also to put into your crab rangoon recipe, which will be coming on Friday. So after you get that all cut up and set aside your tops, you'll go ahead and work on your bottoms, and I just cut them up as much as I could. I did eventually have to pull the knife out for the bottom because it was so stiff, and I cut those in half and then just chopped those up, and then we were ready to go. So I already went ahead and measured out all of my liquid ingredients and spices as well. Now I'm just going to spray my skillet and warm it up. Once it is pretty hot and starts to smoke, that's when you'll go ahead and add your eggs in there. You want to scramble your eggs up and make sure not to overcook them. You want a little bit underdone. That way when you put them back into your fried rice and refry them, they will not burn. Also, when your eggs are done scrambling, if you're going to be adding a protein such as chicken or shrimp or pork to your fried rice, then you'll want to go ahead and cook that next, right after the eggs, before we start the rice. I like to do protein in our fried rice majority of the time, but since we were having sweet and sour pork over the top of our rice tonight, we decided not to put a protein into our rice. But generally, after you cook your eggs, you'll wipe your skillet out, and then you would start your meat right now and then pull it out before starting your rice. So we are skipping the protein here. We're going straight into the same pot. We wiped it out. We got it really hot first, and then we added our cooking oil. And I did about 3 to 4 tablespoons of cooking oil. Then I dumped in my chopped white onion, and then I went ahead and put in the white onion from the bottom of our green onions. And I will cook this for about 30 seconds and stirring it gently. Once it starts to get slightly translucent, which my onions already were, then I went ahead and added in my hard vegetables for me, which were my carrots and my green beans. And for you, it could possibly be your frozen vegetables, so you'll want to go ahead and do that. And as always, you can always add in any type of veggies you want to your fried rice, or withhold them too if you are not a veggie lover. But you'll just want to cook these for about 2 minutes over a medium-high heat. Once they soften, you want to dump your rice over the top of that. I always make sure to cook my rice a day ahead of time, because this recipe will not work as good if that rice is not cold and had set for 24 hours. So I will steam my rice a day ahead of time and place it in a Ziploc bag, and then break it up before I dump it in from the fridge. Next, you'll want to add all of your wet ingredients and your spices directly into the rice, and then you're going to go ahead and mix it thoroughly. You want to mix it very well. For me, I did substitute the pepper for black pepper, but the rest of the ingredients I did have on hand. All of these ingredients you can find at your local Walmart. The neighborhood markets and the big Walmarts all carry these in the international aisle. You can find these items and they're all under $5. They're very, very, very affordable. And once you have them, you're going to open up your world into a whole new way of cooking. Chinese food, Japanese food. You can make all kinds of delicious things. So after I got my rice frying, I made sure to fry it for about 4 minutes, breaking it up. You add your eggs and your protein, if you cooked a protein, back into your rice. You want to stir this around. By this time, it's actually going to smell like you're at the Chinese restaurant. It is going to smell so delicious that you're going to not want to finish cooking. You're going to want to eat it. And yes, it is already ready. Once you mix all of that in there, your dish is now ready. It is ready to serve. So what I do personally, I wanted to get it off because I had other things to cook. So I put it in a bowl, and once I had it into my glass bowl, that's when I go ahead and did the garnishing like I told you. I take those green onions and I went ahead and sprinkled them right on top of the rice, and then I also sprinkled some sesame seed. You can get sesame seeds in your international aisle a lot cheaper than you can in your regular seasoning aisle. If you look where the dry seasonings are, the Mexican dry seasonings, I think it's called Birria brand, there'll be little packets hanging up on the wall, and you should be able to find sesame seeds for like $1.50 there for a big old bag of them. They generally have the white and the black, and that's where I get mine because they're way more affordable. Otherwise, you're going to pay $5 for a little old jar. But there you go. That's our delicious fried rice. If you want it to be fancy like you're at the restaurant, you can put it in a small ceramic bowl and pack it tight and then dump it upside down on a plate like I did here. Or you can do it like this, and this is how our dinner turned out. We put the fried rice down and then threw the sweet and sour pork right on top of it and served it with some crab rangoons and sweet and sour sauce on the side. And remember to come back for those recipes Friday and Monday. And here we have a moonrise over the ocean in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And then we also have these wonderful friends at our local aquarium that wanted to say hi to you and said that if you can, they would sure appreciate it if you'd come visit and give them a pet. They love to get attention, and so since summertime is over, they're going to be needing some extra attention for the fall and winter months to come. I will have a link in the description area in case you want to check these little babies out when you come to town. I'm sure they would love to see you.
You can't change the past, but you can embrace the future. Philippians 3:13 and 14.
If you haven't done so, please hit the icon to the left right here and subscribe to our channel. We sure would appreciate it. We'd love to have more friends in our community. And as always, here is a recipe here to the right you can click on that you might enjoy. We thank you for being here on Cooking with Kayla D. And as always, we say God bless and keep on cooking.